You failed. Then the part that hurts most is not that it ended badly. It is that you genuinely thought you were doing the right thing. You read the signs, you trusted your gut, you believed the timing. Maybe you even told people. And then life proved you wrong. That kind of failure does not just disappoint you, it humiliates something inside you. Because now you're not only dealing with the loss, but you are also dealing with the memory of how certain you sounded. And that's embarrassing. So now you find yourself hesitating, not because you're weak, but because the last time you trusted yourself, it cost you. And a part of you is still standing in that moment, asking, how did I get it so wrong? In today's reading, we are going to unpack why this failure shook your identity so deeply, why you no longer trust your own judgment, and how to separate the lesson from the shame so you can move forward without needing to punish yourself forever. The cards for today's collective reading are showing a very heavy energy around failure. Not just something that didn't work out, but something that has shook the way you see yourself. The Tower is here. So there was an event, a decision, or a leap of faith that felt right at that time. The signs may have pointed towards it. The timing felt aligned. There may have been a real belief. But what followed was not stability. It was disruption. And even if the event itself has passed, the impact of it is still sitting in the energy field around you. The Five of Cups shows that there is still a lot being held around what did not work. The disappointment, the regret, the replaying of events. Maybe a quiet embarrassment of having believed in something so strongly, only to feel like it failed. And then when the Two of Swords comes in, because the current energy is not just confusing, it is also showing a form of protection. There is some form of hesitation here, holding back, a fear of choosing again, because the last choice felt so certain and still led to pain. So today is not just about what happened, it's about what that experience changed inside you, where trust in yourself became blocked, where shame started disguising itself as caution, and when the heart is still trying to understand what the mind keeps replaying. As always, we're not going to force an answer. we are going to move deeper into the energy and understand what this failure revealed. What part of yourself is still holding on to the hurt? Where fear may be sitting within you? And what is now ready to be seen, released, and brought back into the light? Now, before we go any further, make sure you are somewhere safe, somewhere quiet, where your body can soften and your attention can begin to turn inward. Do not listen if you are driving or doing anything that needs your full attention. Set this aside and return when you can fully focus. This space is not for distraction. It is for stillness and for receiving what is already there. Because the cards have revealed the energy pattern. But what this means for you cannot be reached through thought alone, nor by analyzing it logically, not in debates and discussions, trying to figure it out. So now, if you're ready, we move deeper. Not to move away from what has been shown, but to go toward and into it. To come closer to it, to that place within you, where the truth and the answers are waiting. I invite you to get into a comfortable position, one that feels right for your body. And as we go through this, you do not need to hold yourself still. If you need to shift or adjust, that is perfectly okay. Let this be natural. And as you begin to settle here, you may start to notice something subtle. The part of you that has been listening and the part of you that is now experiencing this are not quite the same. And you don't need to do anything with that. Just notice it. Because the more you notice that, the easier it becomes to let the thinking mind step slightly to the side. Not disappearing, not being pushed away, just no longer needing to lead. And as that happens, something quieter, something deeper can begin and come forward. This is not something new. It has been there within you, waiting to be heard. If you have not done this as yet, it is time now to close your eyes if it is safe to do so, or simply soften your gaze. Just notice that you are here. Noticing the body, noticing the breath, noticing this moment beginning to separate itself from the noise around it. Take a slow, deep breath in hold it gently for a moment, and let it leave you softly. Breathe out just a little longer than you breathe in. No force, no effort, just allowing the breath to find a rhythm that feels natural. And now, as you remain relaxed here, you begin to sense that you are no longer only in your body, limited in the way you were before. There is still a body, still a breath, and your presence. But the awareness can begin to move. And as it moves, you sense yourself standing at the top of a path. This path descends gently towards something, and as you look ahead, realize this place does not feel unseen. It feels familiar, not because you remember it clearly, but because something in you recognizes it. A place that feels older than memory, or something you do not need to name. There is no need to choose. Let the place reveal itself in the way it wants to. And as you stand here at the beginning of this path, you may notice again that quiet separation, the part of you that observes and the part of you that moves. Are different. And without forcing anything, you can allow yourself to take a step forward. And then another step forward. And with each step, you move slightly further from the need to think your way through this, and slightly closer to what is already known within you, beneath the fear and the confusion and the lack of clarity. This is not something you're trying to find. You already know where it is. And as you take another step forward, this is something you are moving towards. And as you continue taking one more step forward, you notice your awareness drifting slightly and then returning, drifting and returning again. But with each step you take, each time your awareness returns, it is coming back a little deeper, a little clearer, a little more available to see what is already here. And as you take another step to move further along this path, the less you need to defend, the less you need to pretend. The less you need to explain that you did not already know. And you are not being rushed. You are being allowed to arrive. Now you may notice the air, the scent of freshly cut grass or earth after rains. Or it could be some fresh air with a hint of salt. the sound of birds singing, water gurgling past in a stream somewhere nearby, or gently lapping at the shore of a lake, or only silence, but a silence that feels alive, a silence that is listening back. Step by step, you go deeper, and soon you arrive at a familiar place to rest. A bench beneath trees, a stone warmed by soft light, a quiet seat beside water, a place that feels protected, a place where nothing can reach you except truth. Sit there and let yourself be still. And as you sit in this place, you may begin to feel a presence around you. Gentle, wise, and unforcing. Somebody you know you can trust. It may feel like your guides, your higher self, or simply your own soul. This presence does not command you. It does not choose for you or rush you. It simply remains near, supporting you and illuminating what you already know. And in this light, you begin to understand.
Stay with it. You know this. Stay.
You were not waiting because you had no answer. You were waiting because the answer reveals something real, something honest. Then it may ask you to do something that you would rather avoid.
Stay with it. This is safe to see. Look beneath. You know it.
And as you
Stay.
stay with this feeling,
Is here. Do not turn away.
notice what it is asking you to look at, not the surface answer, but what may be uncomfortable. And that's why is buried underneath it. There may be a part of you that already knows what this is connected to, not the story you tell others, not the explanation you give to make it easier for yourself, but the quieter truth, the one you do not always say out loud, even in the privacy of your own mind. And even though you do not force it to appear, something begins to rise. A feeling, an image, a pattern, a familiar sense you have known before. And this time, you let yourself notice it, not to judge it or push it away, not to turn from it too quickly. But you recognize this has been moving with you in more ways than one. Not tied to a moment, but carrying the same underlying tone through different forms. And as you sit with that,
Stay with it. Safe to
you
see.
begin to see
You have seen so. Look beneath. Stay here. Do not turn away. Truth, let it rise. You are here. Safe to know. Stay open.
it may be about a
Receive.
feeling
This is the truth. Stay
you have
with
met
it.
in more
Truth
than one
is here.
form. A feeling of not being fully safe, to be honest. Or a pattern needing to hold everything together so nothing falls apart. Or an image of something that feels familiar, even when such familiarity no longer goes with freedom. Then as you observe, everything becomes clearer. You notice what part of you has been protecting this pattern, not because it wanted to keep you trapped, but because at some point you began to believe this was how you stayed safe. Because even the things that hold us back often begin as a form of protection. to survive, to belong, to avoid losing something. And at the same time, this part of you that learned this pattern is no longer the only part of you here now, because you are both the one who learned it and the one who can now see it. And when something can be seen clearly without feeling the need to turn away, it begins to change. Not because you forced it, but because it is no longer hidden from you. And from this space where you can see more clearly, you realize you do not have to abandon yourself to become different. You do not have to fight the feeling. You're here to understand what these patterns have been doing and what your higher self has been asking you to finally see, because you are no longer unaware. And as you sit with this, you begin to notice something shifting in how you respond, in what you allow, in what you stop returning to. A little more space, a little more honesty, a little more contact with the truth begins here. So now ask, what part of this failure am I still using to define myself? What part of this failure am I still using to define myself? Just notice what begins to rise. It may be a feeling, a moment, a judgment you have carried quietly, or a statement you started believing about yourself. Stay with it. And as you do, you may begin to sense this was never just about what happened. It was about what you decided it meant about you. And from here, allow the understanding to deepen a little further. So ask, where did I start holding back so I would not feel like that again? Where did I start holding back so I would not feel like that again? Notice what shifts as you ask that. There may be hesitation, a familiar pause, a place where something in you stopped reaching forward. And as that comes into awareness, you begin to understand what that hesitation has been protecting. Not because it wants to keep you small, but because it remembers what it felt like to be disappointed in yourself. Let that part of you be seen. Let it breathe. Let it know you're not here to force it forward. You want to understand why it stopped, and to remind it that fear does not have to lead anymore. And now, one step deeper. What do I believe will happen if I trust myself again? What do I believe will happen if I trust myself again? Not the answer that sounds strong, the honest one. The one your body may recognize before your mind does. Let it come in its own way, as a feeling, in a reaction, like an image. Or in something that cannot be defined, but you recognize. And one final step further. What is it costing me to keep holding back like this? Not just what I am avoiding, but what I am not allowing by staying here. What is it costing me to keep holding back like this? Notice what comes up. There may be something you have been waiting to try, a direction you have not taken, a part of you that has stayed quiet longer than it needed to. And as you sit with that, you begin to see clearly. Holding back may feel safer, but it also keeps you from knowing, from seeing what would have happened, from finding out what you are capable of. Now that this failure has taught you something. And without realizing it, that becomes its own kind of staying stuck. Not because you failed again, but this time you just never allowed yourself to find out. And this is not something to judge, because the part of you that held back was trying to protect you. But now that you can see it, you are no longer limited to it. And as that truth begins to show itself, acknowledge this. Fear is not proof that you cannot move. It is only the part of you asking not to be hurt the same way again. And when you begin to see it for what it is, it stops feeling like an enemy. And you understand that this is just information. Something you're aware of without letting it lead. Because the answer is not to erase the fear. The answer is to stop letting fear decide what you are allowed to try. Stay here for a moment in the garden, in the quiet, with what has come forward. Do not rush away from it. Do not explain it too quickly. Let it settle as an idea, as something the body has recognized, allowing it to move beneath the thinking mind and into those places ready to understand what has been seen here does not disappear. What has risen here, you will not lose. It remains within you, held by the parts of you that are ready to accept it. Feeling a little less distant, a little more familiar, and a little less overwhelming. The information you have received is no longer something to be avoided, but finally met. And from this place, you are held by the ground beneath you, by the quiet around you, and by the deeper part of you that knows how to carry this truth forward. And now, you may begin to choose what your body needs. If your body is ready for rest, you do not need to return all the way. You can remain here in this quiet space as the garden softens and the edges of this place begin to blur. Let the breath become slower, heavier, more distant. And as you drift, you do not need to hold on to the answers, because you will not lose them. What has come forward stays with you. It moves into awareness, and your mind knows how to receive it. And when you wake, this truth will still be there, not forgotten or taken away by sleep. When you rise, it will rise with you in the way you are ready to receive it, as a clear recognition, the answer returning to you from within you. So rest now. Let the body sleep while the truth remains. Let the mind soften. You do not have to search anymore. What has been found will be waiting when you wake. Drift now gently, safely into rest. And if now you are returning, there is no need to rush. Begin by noticing the breath again, slightly more present. Let the garden remain within you as your awareness begins to return, not leaving the truth behind, bringing it with you. Bring the awareness back into the body, your hands, your fingers, your feet. Move them slightly and notice the surface beneath you, holding your weight. When we begin to feel the room around you again, the air, the space, the quiet. And what you have seen here comes back with you. It does not vanish when you open your eyes. Take a slightly deeper breath in and let it go. And then another, bringing a little more energy back with you. Returning with the knowing, with the truth. You are no longer willing to forget what has been seen. Whatever you're sitting with after this, don't be hard on yourself. You did what you knew how to do at the time, and maybe now you're beginning to understand yourself a little differently, with a little more compassion. So be gentle with yourself, because everything is okay. You are still here, still trying, still finding your way back to yourself. And that matters. So for now, just let that be enough. and meet yourself with a little more kindness than before. I thank you for letting me be a part of your healing journey, and I will see you again very soon.